We are now back in Scotland, the land of mystery and magic, and today we'll be sharing a legendary Scottish tale. So grab your whiskies, everyone, because it's about to be a wild ride. This is the story of the Kelpie, also known as the spirit of the Loch. The Kelpie has been said to haunt the rivers and lochs of Scotland for centuries. It is said to lure travellers to their deaths by disguising itself as a beautiful horse, a mysterious stranger, or even a handsome prince. But there is more to this legend than meets the eye. The origins of the Kelpie can be traced back to the ancient Celtic folklore of Scotland. In Gaelic, the word Kelpie means horse of the water, which gives you an idea of its shape-shifting abilities. In medieval times, people believed that certain bodies of water were home to supernatural beings. They were often viewed as protectors of the natural world and were revered with a mix of fear and respect. The Celts believed that these creatures could take on many different forms, but perhaps the most common was that of a horse. The Kelpie would often appear to travellers who were weary from their journey, tempting them with a ride on its back. However, once the traveller had mounted the Kelpie, they would soon discover that they had made a terrible mistake. For the Kelpie was not a gentle beast, but a powerful demon that could drag its victims down into the murky depths of the Loch with ease. There were also said to be female Kelpies that would seduce unsuspecting humans, sometimes taking the form of a beautiful woman. The female Kelpies were just as dangerous as their male counterparts, using their beauty and charm to lure their victims into the water where they would drown. The Kelpie's origins are uncertain, but one theory suggests that they were the spirits of animals that had drowned in the water. Over time, these spirits became more and more powerful, eventually gaining the ability to change shape. Another theory suggests that the Kelpies were created when the goddess of the underworld fell in love with a mortal man. Their union resulted in a race of half-human, half-horse creatures that roamed the earth. Some legends suggest that the Kelpie was a trickster figure, playing pranks on unsuspecting humans or even causing them harm. In other stories, the Kelpie was a more sinister creature, preying on the fears and desires of its victims. Whatever the case may be, one thing is for sure: the Kelpie was a creature not to be messed with. Today, the legend of the Kelpie continues to capture the imaginations of people all over the world. Its story has been told and retold countless times, and its image has become a popular symbol of Scottish culture. Many believe that the Kelpie is still out there, lurking in the shadows of the Scottish Highlands. Those who venture too close to the water's edge are said to be at risk of being taken by the Kelpie, never to be seen again. The legend of the Kelpie is a reminder of the power of the natural world. Even today, there are some places in Scotland where people are afraid to swim or even walk near the water's edge. The fear of encountering a Kelpie is so strong that it has become part of Scottish folklore. So now that you know the legend, it's time to hear one of the most famous stories about the Kelpie. A long time ago, in a village in the Scottish Highlands, lived a young man named Finn. He was a brave and adventurous soul who was always eager to explore the world around him. One day, Finn decided to take a trip to the nearby loch, which was said to be home to a magical horse. The locals had warned him of the Kelpie's tricks, but Finn was not afraid. He had heard stories of the Kelpie since he was a child and was determined to see it for himself. As Finn approached the loch, he saw a magnificent horse standing on the shore. It was larger than any horse he had ever seen before, with a flowing mane and tail and eyes that sparkled like jewels. The horse was beautiful, and Finn couldn't resist the urge to get closer. But as he got closer, he noticed something strange about the horse. Its skin was wet, and it seemed to be shaking itself dry. And when Finn looked into its eyes, he saw that they were filled with an otherworldly glow. Despite his apprehension, Finn was intrigued by the horse, and he reached out to stroke its neck. As soon as his hand touched the horse, however, he felt a jolt of energy run through his body. The horse reared back and whinnied loudly, and Finn stumbled backward in surprise. But the horse didn't charge at him. Instead, it took a few steps back and then turned and walked into the water. Finn watched in amazement as the horse swam out into the middle of the lake. Then it turned around and looked back at him, and that's when Finn saw something truly remarkable. The horse's eyes glowed brighter than ever before, and its form began to shimmer and change. The horse shook itself and suddenly stood before him in the form of a beautiful woman. She was tall and graceful, with long flowing hair and skin that shone like pearls. The woman smiled at Finn and beckoned to him with a finger. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the forest. Unable to resist her charm, Finn followed her into the woods. He had no idea what he was getting himself into, but he knew that he couldn't bear to lose sight of the mysterious woman. As they walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew darker and the air became colder. Finally, the woman stopped and turned to face Finn. She looked at him with a sad expression on her face and spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. "I am the Kelpie," she said, "and I have been waiting for you." Finn was shocked. All this time he had been searching for the Kelpie, and now she had appeared before him in her true form. He wasn't afraid anymore. In fact, he was mesmerized by her beauty and intrigued by her words. "Why have you been waiting for me?" he asked. The Kelpie sighed and looked away. "I need your help," she said. "My sister is trapped in a tower at the bottom of the loch, and I must free her." Finn was taken aback. He had never heard this version of the Kelpie story before. But he was a kind-hearted soul, and he could not bear the thought of a creature in need being trapped. "How can I help you?" he asked. The Kelpie smiled sadly and replied, "You must dive into the loch and rescue my sister." Finn hesitated. He knew that the Kelpie was a powerful creature, and he was afraid of what might happen if he angered her, but he couldn't bring himself to say no. So he took a deep breath and jumped into the water. As soon as he hit the water, though, he realized that he had made a terrible mistake. The water was freezing cold, and he couldn't see a thing in the murky depths. Panic began to set in, and Finn started to struggle. Just when he thought he would drown, though, he felt a hand grab his and pull him toward the surface. When he finally broke the surface and looked around, he saw that he was being helped by the Kelpie. She had transformed back into her horse form and was now standing on the shore. With her help, Finn was able to get himself upright and climb out of the loch. He was shivering and exhausted, but he had survived. The Kelpie nodded at him in thanks and then disappeared back into the water. Finn never saw the Kelpie again, but he never forgot his encounter with her. He had faced his fears and helped a creature in need, and he knew that he would carry that experience with him for the rest of his life. Now that you know the full story of the Kelpie, it's time for the big reveal. What is the hidden moral of this enchanting Scottish legend? At first glance, the story of the Kelpie may seem like a cautionary tale about the dangers of the unknown. After all, the Kelpie is a mysterious and powerful creature that is not to be messed with. However, there is more to the story than meets the eye. The Kelpie represents the power of nature and the importance of respecting the natural world around us. The Kelpie is a reminder that we should be aware of our surroundings and not take risks without understanding the potential consequences. But it also teaches us that we should be open to the possibility that there is more to the world than what we can see or understand. The Kelpie is a creature of the unknown, and by venturing into the unknown, we may discover things that we never thought possible. The story of the Kelpie is ultimately a reminder that we should be curious and open-minded when exploring the world around us. We should be respectful of nature and the creatures that inhabit it. But we should also be willing to explore the mysteries of the natural world with a sense of wonder and awe. By doing so, we may just discover that there is more to the world than we ever imagined. And that's all for today's Scottish legend. If you enjoyed this tale of the Kelpie, stay tuned for more by